So my name is Karen Paley. I'm 67 and I'm a lesbian.
Do you think that being gay makes aging different?
I think the only difference that I experience is inside of me. I'm just comfortable with who I am. Although I will say that I started my third career this year, or the past year, and in a pretty conservative industry, the financial services industry. And it took about 5 months for me to get licensed by the regulatory authorities. And I know that during that time, I was not out in the workplace. And I told my wife, Claudine, that I did not want to bring her into workplace events until I was licensed. It was complicated by the fact that they were delaying my license because of my political activism in the 60s. They were trying to track down, or I was trying to track down records. But once I became licensed, it actually happened for me because my wife was hospitalized for something, and I just said, I have to go, my wife's in the hospital. And so that's how it happened. I emotionally was prepared because I had just gotten my license, but I did restrain myself. And so other than that, I think that my experience is that I just this is who I am.
Let's talk a little bit about resiliency. How well have you been able to face challenges as they've come along?
I came into 12-step recovery 32 years ago, and originally for families and friends of alcoholics, and then other forms of 12-step. And so I work the 12 steps, and so I am connected to a God of my understanding. And those steps, the contact with other people, in those programs helps me enormously. I don't feel like I'm alone and I have to do everything myself. It's clear, if I look back on my history, that, I was a lesbian for a long time. I mean, when I came out to one of my aunts, she told me that her son told her when I was 5 years old I was a lesbian. But, I didn't come out until, 13, 14 years ago.
What specific challenges do you anticipate as you get older?
Well, I don't anticipate challenges specific to being a lesbian. I worry about, becoming infirm. I'm very active. I'm an Appalachian Mountain Club hike leader, and so I hike every weekend. I was just out snowshoeing yesterday with a group in Diamond Hill State Park. So I worry about, losing the ability to be physically active, because it is such a big part of my life. I also work out with a personal trainer twice a week. I'm probably in better shape than I've ever been in my whole life. So those are the things I worry about. I don't particularly worry about being an older lesbian, and maybe that's because I'm in denial, but it's not something I worry about. I don't have any internal shame around it. When I was in my first relationship with a woman, I decided I wanted to come out to my mother. Now, my mother was actually dead at the time, so I was trying to figure out how to do that. So my girlfriend and I went to her grave, and I spoke the words to my mother. It's like the best I could do. I couldn't email her or tweet her or anything like that. So, and it was interesting, the message I got back from my mother was not homophobic. The words I heard, and just I could hear the way she would say it, but she's not Jewish. So I think that, over time I've eroded my own I went from complete denial of my sexuality, shame around it, to just acceptance. This is who I am, I am careful that I carry around our marriage license because my wife has been hospitalized a couple of times, and in case I encountered any obstacles to being with her in the ER or anything like that, and I told her to do the same. But she's been treated at South County Hospital, and there's never been a question, you know, I'm here with her. Nobody said, well, are you family? I mean, if you encounter people that get it, they just get it, you know, but I have that license in my purse in case something would have happened to her and somebody would question whether or not I was a family member. I think that's probably the one thing that concerns me, is being possibly being excluded from ICU, you know, the way we had to be before it was legal to be married.
If you had a chance to sit down and speak to your younger self, what would you say?
You know, you know, I just didn't have to be in denial for all those years about who I was, and to pretend that I was somebody else, and to feel ashamed about the feelings I had for women. That it's normal. It's just normal. It may not have looked normal, but it is normal. And I didn't have to spend decades denying who I was, and, you know, labeling it as an addiction, you know, when really it was a normal feeling that I had, you know, feelings of love and sexuality for other women. And I'm not going to say I regret getting married to my husband, because we somehow managed to be decent enough parents to have 2 great sons and daughters-in-law and, you know, grandchildren now. So, yeah, that's how I would answer that.